Gas prices are down, the cheapest they've been since 2021. Wages are rising, possible tariff refund checks coming to Americans. We'll keep our eyes on that, and that's just to name a few. So solutions over foreign noise and identity politics. That's the winning conversation. Let's bring in Ted Thatcher, president of Bright Lake Wealth Management, to keep the conversation going. Ted, good to have you back. So let's start with the fresh September jobs data. Far more jobs added than expected. What's your read on it and what it means for Americans in their everyday lives?
Absolutely, Alicia. You know, it is a huge gain, much higher than we were expecting. I will say, you know, a little bit of concern on the overall data that we have been getting, namely, of course, the data we haven't been getting with the government shutdown. And we've kind of been flying blind. So we've been trying to figure out, how is the consumer really doing? You know, okay, where does the labor market actually sit? In July, we had a 4.2% reading on overall unemployment. 4.3 in August, and now 4.4 in September. That said, though, there is, some positivity here. The GDP expectations from the Atlanta Fed now sit at 4.2% for quarter three. So I think that some of the focus and replaced focus on affordability, on, kitchen table issues, as you well noted, is what the administration has been focused on.
Yeah, because as we saw, consumer confidence, sentiment fell. Is that the messaging? Like, we just lost focus of what Americans really care about? Like, we need to keep that conversation going, how it's improving, what the administration is doing about it, because it's all, when you look at the bigger picture, not that bad. So it just depends on how people feel about it.
I think that that's well said. You know, the sentiment numbers have slipped. And interestingly, though, as this data kind of continues to come out, it really will end up informing, I think, what decisions the Fed is able to make going forward. We were expecting all the jobs data to actually come out from October and November before the Fed met for the final time, December 9th and 10th. We found out this morning that data won't even be released actually until December 15th. And so that means, I think, unfortunately, we might not get as fast of relief on the interest rate side as we expected. Jerome Powell, throughout the last year and a half, has shown us he's been more than willing to sit on his hands when he hasn't had all the data at his fingertips. I do think there's been a tremendous amount of pressure, of course, on the Fed to lower rates to give that relief. But we might, because the data hasn't been there, have to wait until early 2026 to get it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because they do meet without the October and November jobs reports. Jobs is a big factor, as well as inflation, when it comes to the Fed deciding whether or not they're going to lower interest rates again, or whether they're going to hold them, whether they're going to raise them. What do you think they're going to do?
If you look at the probability, before the October meeting, it was actually sitting at about a 90% likelihood that the Fed was going to lower in December. Right. Now it's actually 60% likely that they won't do anything. And so if you actually, said, hey, what are the betting odds here? Unlikely that we get a rate cut that quickly. However, I do think that we will see that trend down in 2026. And that should be a tailwind both for the financial markets and the financial economy, and hopefully give that relief to the consumer, around affordability, access to the housing market, and those types of things.
Absolutely. But we could keep our eyes on Thanksgiving dinner, which will be
cheaper
this year. Turkey is 16% less than last year. All right. Happy Thanksgiving, Ted Thatcher, president of Bright Lake Wealth Management. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.